The Bernie stuff is pretty straightforward. I didn't really have like a segment that I wanted to do on it. I just wanted to point out the fact that Bernie Sanders has increased the harshness of his language against Netanyahu and what's happening in the Gaza Strip. So that's good. I never thought that he had sold out completely. I feel like the internal pressure in the DNC has to be like insane right now to keep to the party line. I mean, they censured Rashida Tlaib, we know they're putting a heavy pressure on the people on the back end. Let me be clear, no more U.S. funding for Netanyahu's illegal, immoral, brutal, and grossly disproportionate war against the Palestinian people. Congress must reject any effort to pass $10 billion of unconditional military aid for the right-wing Netanyahu government. I think this is the aid that Biden ended up throwing through via executive order. Anyway. He's still not called for a ceasefire. He has said that he wants the fighting to... He said he wants the fire to cease. I feel like he's kind of operating under a lot of pressure. I don't know. I feel bad for him because I know they've got to be saying some insane shit to him behind the scenes. Why is Biden so mean, though? He's a meanie. He's a big meanie boy. I think he said... Has he specifically said ceasefire? Yeah. We have a video of him on the Senate floor. Yeah, he has requested a call for stop killing.
Begin by wishing all Americans and my colleagues here in the Congress a very happy and peaceful holiday season. Unfortunately, for the people in Israel and Palestine, that will not be the case. This is not a peaceful season for them. In Gaza, millions of people will end the year under constant bombardment, exposed to the winter or living in tents, wondering where they will find their next meal or clean drinking water or the medical supplies they need. What is going on in Gaza right now is an unmitigated humanitarian disaster, and we must not look away from it. We all know that the current war was begun by Hamas and their brutal terrorist attack against Israel, which killed some 1,200 innocent men, women, and children and took more than 240 hostages. Hamas is a corrupt terrorist organization which, before and after their attack on October 7th, has made it clear that their goal is to destroy the state of Israel. There is no question in my mind that Israel has the right to defend itself and respond against the perpetrators of the October 7th attack. But while it is clear that Israel has the right to respond militarily...
This is some pretty weak liberal speech, not gonna lie. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have like a sniper up in the rafters of the Senate chamber, and like if you cannot talk about this conflict without prefacing any statement critical of Israel with like 5 minutes of this bit,
Militarily against that terrorist attack, it is also clear that the Netanyahu right-wing extremist government is waging that war, that response, in a deeply reckless and immoral way. A just cause for war does not excuse atrocities in the conduct of that war, and that is precisely what we are seeing. Israel has the right to go to war against Hamas. It does not have the right to go to war against innocent men, women, and children in Gaza. Israel's reliance on widespread and indiscriminate bombardment, including the use of massive explosive ordnance in densely populated urban areas, is unconscionable.
All right, I'm bored of this now. Unfortunately, yeah, the critical framework here always has to be, at least from a politician's perspective, aimed as like a, I'm not denying your right to defend yourself, and I think that you have a right to wage war against Hamas. But at the same time, I think that you've been ever so slightly teensy, a little bit too, too mean with your, uncontrolled use of munitions. I don't know. It really makes me wonder. You got to have a watermark for this stuff, right? Because when it comes to stuff like, I don't know, the Justice Dems not living up to what they've said they want to do, they're being subjected to a lot of internal pressure, like behind the scenes. So we won't know what pressure they're being subjected to. We can only infer it based on their behavior and how it deviates from how we would expect them to act, right? I am sure that free of any external pressure, Bernie Sanders would be, extremely and loudly pro-Palestinian. But in the environment he's in, we see this. So we have to conclude from that, in my mind, primarily, wow, the pressure back behind the scenes has to be horrible. Wretched, AOC previously took a terrible present vote in the Iron Dome. Yeah, well, crying after being talked to by Pelosi. I remember that, yeah. Again, I wonder how Nazis square that leftists are supposed to be the Jews' tool for weakening the West. But in basically every political issue, the group most opposed to Israel is the left in the West. I wonder how they square that. How do they we're the greatest soldiers of the downfall of the West, but at the same time we're rabidly against, like, a bunch of lefties online are like screaming that they're pro Hezbollah, pro Hamas, pro Houthis or what, and it's like, how does this square up with your idea that leftism is like a Frankfurt School byproduct of Jewish control? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I, for one, can't believe Nazis are illogical. Yeah. I know. It sounds just like the strong and weak fascist trope. Yeah, but in this case, it's not strong and weak. It's like opposed versus allied with. Like, it's like even dumber. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Man, I really like my new lighting setup. It's so much nicer. It's probably a lot easier on the eyes for you guys as well, in case you have, like, monitors that you keep typically bright. They say the Jews created a monster that has now turned against them, I think. Well, if that's the case, then they would have to say, like, oh, wow, I guess the left has been woken up to Israel or Jews being bad or whatever. But then they keep on treating leftists like an enemy, even though you'd think that'd be their, like, greater coalitional goal. It makes no sense, and they won't acknowledge it, Houthis claim yet another attack on a container ship in the Red Sea. Really? Unfortunately, it's an article that I can't read. 24 attacks on international shipping by the Houthis since October 19th. I've seen some lefties defend these guys. Yeah, there are a lot of lefties on Twitter who legitimately seem to think the Houthis are, like, waging a war to defend Palestinians or some insane shit like that, What was the most recent ship they attacked? I really wish they would show, like, what the allegiance of these vessels are when they talk about, I don't know. الذي وصل بالأمريكان إلى أن يقدموا على عسكرة البحر الأحمر والتأثير بتصرفاتهم الرعناء على أمن الملاحة الدولية خدمة للعدو الإسرائيلي فأمريكا هي المثيرة للحروب والمشاكل والفوضى والمزعزعة للأمن في البر والبحر وقد أقدمت. So many content creators on TikTok keep conflating the Houthis with Yemen or just taking blatant propaganda posts at face value. Remember when Twitter was flooded with a bunch of posts saying that, like, the West has fallen, the Houthis will defeat Operation Prosperity Guardian. These European countries have backed out of the coalition. It's crumbling. It's falling apart. And now, literally, like, yesterday, this happened, and now those same accounts are like, the barbaric United States has tyrannically attacked the Houthi ships that were just innocently attacking a merchant ship.
Now to the conflict in the Middle East. More fighting is breaking out in the Red Sea. Over the weekend, the United States killed Houthi rebels for the first time after months of skirmishes in shipping lanes there. Israel is also indicating there will be no quick resolution in its war against Hamas. Liz Landers has the latest now from Washington.
The new year ushering in more tensions in the Middle East as the United States military says that for the first time, they've killed Iran-backed Houthi rebels from Yemen after they attacked Navy helicopters in the Red Sea. The incident happened when rebels in 4 small boats launched missiles at a commercial Maersk cargo ship. When Navy helicopters from the USS Eisenhower responded to distress calls from the ship, they also faced incoming rocket fire. U.S. Central Command says that the helicopters fired back in self-defense, sinking 3 of the boats, killing 10 Houthi members, according to Yemeni armed forces. After more than 24 recent attacks, the U.S. formed an international coalition to protect the key shipping lane.
We don't seek a conflict wider in the region. We certainly aren't looking for a conflict with the Houthis. The best outcome here would be for the Houthis to stop these attacks, as we have made clear over and over again.
Back in Israel, 2024 opened where 2023 left off, with a rocket fire exchange between Israel
and... whatever. Yeah, I don't know. After U.S. strike kills 10 members of Iran-backed group who attempted to board a container ship, Cameroon tells Tehran it has a responsibility to prevent Houthi attacks, which is true. You know, I think, like, the problem is, and I've said this before, Iran should be the hegemon, the regional hegemon, much the way that China is in their region.